Back in 2009, the App Store felt like the Wild West. There were flashlight apps, fake beer simulators, and more knockoff games than you could count. Most of the stuff on there wasn't really good. It was just new. People downloaded things just to see what their shiny new iPhone could do. And then, out of nowhere, came something different. Doodle Jump. No fancy 3D graphics, no open world, no storyline, just a weird little alien bouncing up an infinite screen, trying not to fall and shooting weird little nose bullets at monsters. And somehow that was enough to hook millions. You didn't have to learn anything. No sign-ins, no tutorials, no daily rewards. You opened the app and tilted your phone. That was the whole mechanic. Tilt to move, tap to shot, and try not to die. And that simplicity, it was perfect. In an era where mobile games were still trying to figure out what they were supposed to be, Doodle Jump found the sweet spot between fun and frustration. The physics felt snappy, the enemies were just the right kind of annoying, and every time you fell, you couldn't help but tap restart and try again. And you know, that's exactly what you should do with the subscribe button, tap it. Anyway, the game was developed by Lima Sky, a tiny indie studio founded by two brothers, Igor and Marco. They didn't have a big budget or a massive marketing team, but they had a unique idea and the right timing. At launch, the game even had a ridiculous full title, Doodle Jump. Be warned, it's insanely addictive. And guess what? It quickly climbed the App Store rankings. People started competing for high scores. It became one of those games that everyone had just because everyone else had it. It spread through schools, offices, and even celebrities got hooked. Suddenly, this goofy little alien was everywhere. On phones, in memes, in TV shows. Apple featured it in commercials. Stores had posters of it. And somehow, this hand-drawn game became the face of mobile gaming. Doodle Jump didn't just go viral, it became a symbol, a weird, bouncing, alien-shaped symbol of how far a tiny mobile game could go. At the time, Doodle Jump wasn't just a popular mobile game, it was a full-on cultural phenomenon. It didn't matter if you were a kid with your first iPod Touch or an adult killing time on your commute, everyone had it. It became the game you opened while waiting in line, sitting on the toilet, or pretending to listen in class. By 2010, it had sold millions of copies. Apple couldn't stop featuring it, and in a world before TikTok trends and mobile advertisements everywhere, that kind of success meant organic obsession. People genuinely couldn't stop playing. It was minimal, sure, but that's what made it genius and successful. The game had no levels, no ending, no real objective except one: go higher, beat your score, beat your friend's scores, beat the score of that one guy on Game Center with a username like xxnoscope69. The reason why this game worked is the same as the one of Flappy Bird. They became so successful because they were so addictive and everyone wanted to become the best player. Every round felt different. One time you'd get super lucky and ride a spring-loaded platform halfway to the moon. The next, you'd fall straight into a black hole 5 seconds in. It was random, stupid, chaotic fun, and it worked. But then Doodle Jump started to break out of the phone screen. The characters showed up in merch, plushies, t-shirts, backpacks. There were arcade machines. Yeah, actual arcade cabinets with motion controls, and that wasn't even the weirdest part. In 2012, Doodle Jump became the first mobile game to be featured in the NFL. The New York, during a halftime show, literally had Doodle Jump on the big screen. No joke. It wasn't just a mobile game anymore, it was a brand, a piece of pop culture, the kind of thing you saw once and instantly remembered, even years later. And yet, despite all the hype, Doodle Jump never lost its core. It stayed true to the original idea. Quick, challenging and fun as hell, but that massive popularity couldn't last forever. After becoming one of the most iconic mobile games of the early 2010s, Doodle Jump could have stopped there, ride the success, keep the game updated, maybe launch some merch and call it a day. But of course, Lima Sky wasn't done. They had a franchise on their hands, and they knew it. Over the next few years, they started experimenting, not just with updates to the original game, but with full-on spin-offs and sequels, and each one tried to push the idea of Doodle Jump in a different direction, with mixed results. First came the themed updates to the original app. There was Doodle Jump Christmas Special, Easter, Halloween, Underwater, Space, Jungle, Ninja, and a bunch of others. These weren't just visual skins, they actually tweaked the gameplay, added new mechanics, new enemies, new ways to die, some even had bosses. They were fun, sure, but they also felt like patches, like Lima Sky was trying to keep the game alive by stretching it in every possible direction. Then came the real sequel, Doodle Jump 2, released in 2020. Yeah, over a decade later, as we usually see with these kind of games. It introduced a level-based structure for the first time, with handcrafted stages instead of the classic endless climb. There were different worlds, new enemies, and a more modern UI, and while it looked better and felt polished, it didn't exactly blow up. People liked it, but of course it wasn't the same. It missed that chaotic, no-pressure charm of the original. Doodle Jump 2 felt more like it was trying to compete with modern mobile games, instead of doing its own thing like the first one had. But let's rewind for a second, because before Doodle Jump 2, there were some weird spin-offs. One of them was Doodle Jump DC Superheroes, where our little alien literally cosplays as Batman and fights villains like the Joker. It came out in 2013 and it was actually kind of cool, but it was a bit weird. It had boss fights, a bit of a story and way more structure than the original. But again, it didn't have the same pick up and play vibe. It felt like Lima Sky was trying to turn Doodle Jump into a franchise universe. And that's a hard thing to do when your main character doesn't even talk. There was also Doodle Jump HOP, a promotional tie-in with the movie Hop. It was an Easter-themed version released in 2011, and it was fine. Basically the same game with a bunny. And somewhere in that chaotic spin-off timeline, they also made versions for Nintendo DS, Xbox Kinect, and even arcade machines. The DS version was kind of silly, the Kinect one was cursed, and the arcade version was fun for like 5 minutes at a bowling alley. You could tell they were trying everything, console ports, collabs, sequels, but here's the thing, none of it stuck. Because no matter how much you dress it up, Doodle Jump works best as a tiny, infinite pick-up-and-play game you can open anytime and put down after 30 seconds. Trying to give it levels, or a story, or cutscenes, or branding deals, it just didn't feel right. It's like trying to give Flappy Bird a campaign mode. It completely misses the point. Doodle Jump 2 was a nice update, themed version were a cool distraction. DC Superheroes was a bold experiment, but none of them captured the magic of the original. And maybe that's okay, because that first game didn't need gimmicks, it didn't need a lore or updates or sequels. All it needed was gravity. So what happened? Why did Doodle Jump, one of the most downloaded and instantly recognizable mobile games of all time, quietly fade into the background? Honestly, nothing really went wrong. And that's the weird part. There wasn't some huge scandal, or a terrible update, or an angry fanbase. Doodle Jump just slowly stopped being part of the conversation. It didn't crash and burn. It gently floated down, like one of its own little aliens missing a platform. And that's because the mobile gaming world changed. Back when Doodle Jump launched, the games were simple. You bought the game once and that was it. No advertisements, no battle passes, no limited time offers every time you open the app. Now, mobile gaming is a completely different beast. It's all about retention strategies, monetization, seasonal updates. It's less about making something pure and addictive in a good way, and more about keeping you stuck in a system. And Doodle Jump, it was never built for that. It was a product of its time, the 2010s, a time where mobile games were more like toys than services. It didn't evolve because maybe it shouldn't have, and yet, despite everything, it still holds up. You can re-download it today, open it up, and in 5 seconds, boom, you are back. Same green alien, same springy platforms, same stupid UFO that always shows up when you're doing well. It's comforting, it's familiar, and it's still kinda fun. Maybe I wouldn't play it for hours as I did when I was a child, but it's not that bad. And maybe that's the real legacy of Doodle Jump. Not the spin-offs, not the merch, not the sequels, but the fact that it did exactly what it was meant to do and never really needed to change. Because sometimes when you feel nostalgia and melancholy, a little alien with a big jump is all you need.